Hello. So I've just finished reading Nobody's Girl by Virginia Roberts Giuffre. And since this is a Saturday and I'm not working today and whatever, and I'm living in New York, I thought I'd come up here to, there's the Frick Museum of Art right here. I'm on the posh Upper East Side now, where it's not really my stomping grounds. I'm down with the less wealthy people down in the East Village. You can see that we're right across the street from Central Park, which is looking a little autumnal right now. Maybe I'll walk into Central Park after I visit where I'm going now. So I'm on Fifth Avenue and approaching 71st Street, and anyone who knows the story knows that the famous Jeffery Epstein, in fact, lived right up here. There's some guy with a bunch of dogs that are the same color. They must be related. So I'm going to check out Jeffrey Epstein's house. I knew it was up here by the Frick because it said that in the book. So it's going to be right around the corner here somewhere, I guess. There's people at the Frick hanging around. And, we'll walk down here and see what we can find. Maybe it's across the street. There's some people down there. I don't want to bother. So yeah, the book was pretty good actually. I was surprised. It was more of a full-out memoir than I expected. I expected it to be more of a quickie, since she kind of died recently or didn't. I mean, the whole thing is just so murky and weird. We're told that she has committed suicide, and there's, talk of that toward the end of the book. But then, do we really ever really know what is going on here? So, yeah, I don't know. I think I've seen a house up ahead. It looks like somebody's taking pictures right now. But yeah, no, it's like okay, she died out in Australia, and there's a lot of stuff in the book about her husband. It's like which I kind of was felt a little put off by, is because it's like she's found the savior in the husband, Robbie Giuffre, this Australian kickboxer or whatever he was. But ultimately it's like, gee, I don't know. You're putting a little bit too much faith in this guy, and the introduction to the book, I don't know who owns her estate, because the book is copywritten by her estate, so I assume that Robbie isn't in control of the book, because it does mention his that just only in the introduction, the author's, the ghostwriter's introduction, Amy Wallace, her introduction, only in that does she mention that actually Virginia at the time of her death was estranged from Robbie, and she was not allowed to contact her children because during some sort of domestic violence between them perpetrated by him, he'd gone to the authorities first, and got her restricted from seeing the children and let him keep the children. So she was upset about that, and so anyway, yeah, he was beating her up kind of throughout apparently, and none of that is in the book. So you know, and except that it, you know, it kind of reads that like, oh yeah, you know, I found my wonderful husband now, and everything is going to be all right, and he's going to save my day as knight in shining armor, and you know, it's just, it never works out with these knights in shining armor, you know. So where are we now? I think this is the pad. Yeah, here it is right here. This is the famous, I'll step across the street so you can see it better. 9 East 71st Street, the actual former home of our dear Jeffrey Epstein. So I'll switch to the other. Should I switch to the other? Yeah. Okay, well here it is. So it's one of the most biggest mansions for living. So yeah, that's the place, and you know, it's in this posh neighborhood, as I said. Kind of cool-looking church down the way there, and that's where he lived, and where all that shit went down all those years ago. Another thing about the whole Jeffrey Epstein story, and you know, now it's just all exploding. Another thing in the book, she doesn't really go into anything about the you know, the connections to Mossad and all that stuff, and controlling Donald Trump and anything like that. And now we've seen how all this is kind of exploding in Trump's face recently. So you know, we don't know whether that's like just a couple days ago. There was all these emails that have been released. So you know, it's all an unfolding story, and so you know, it's like, okay, I read this book about this guy, and all this stuff's been going on for years and years, but yet it's still this big story that's, you know, happening now. So it goes on in the book. Okay, well, it starts out, she's, you know, born in Florida, you know, of course. And her dad, Sky, is from California, and he wears a Stetson hat all the time. And you know, well, the hat, the other people here pointing and looking at Epstein's house. Must have a lot of tourists that come and visit. So yes, so she had this, you know, these parents, and talked about them drinking a lot. And anyway, by the time she's, you know, like a little girl, you know, daddy's coming and tucking her in, and so, you know, daddy starts doing her. All right, so this guy, Sky, is her dad's name, like Sky King, you know. Baby boomers will remember Sky King.
Listen, look, here comes Sky King. Sky King, America's favorite flying cowboy. Presented by America's favorite peanut butter, Peter Pan Peanut Butter.
Yes, friends, this is the time to enjoy high adventure with Sky King. But first, let me remind you that any time is a good time to enjoy creamy, smooth Peter Pan peanut butter.
So yeah, and he's a baby boomer age guy, I guess. So I don't know, her parents might even be younger than me. But so she's getting regularly done by her dear father, and then he's also trading off with another guy in the hood So they're doing each other's daughters, and then the guy gets arrested or something, and it all stops, and then a few years later she runs into the guy, and then the other man, not her dad, and the other guy, and he wants to he's become Christian, so now he's all sorry for what went on, but he's going to blame her. So this is the whole atmosphere of what this is going on in this book. It's this whole world of dudes who who have no grasp of male and female sexuality, who blame women for luring them in, even children, and have no judgment about these things, or just have a really strange dominant attitude toward women and the rights they have over women's bodies, even children. So the other guy was his Stewart or something. I don't remember his name. The other guy, he becomes Christian years later, and then he's like, so he gets, wants her to confess and pray with him because she was sinning so badly. It's like, oh my God. So, goes through her tale of, having this boyfriend or that, being, a typical woman story, being raped by this person or that person, and then ultimately she's working at, her dad actually got the job of groundskeeper at Malaloco, and so, Trump's, dear leader Trump's place down in Florida, so then she got a job working there, and in the locker room or something. So, and that's how she met Ghislaine Maxwell. And the book talks about how Ghislaine came on to her and how all that went. Now I'm in Central Park. Walk a little bit and keep talking. Somebody's doing some busking over here. We'll just walk past. But yeah, this is New York on a kind of a nice day. And actually, the guy's pretty good at his horn. They're usually kind of mixed results. So yeah, let's see. Where was I? She ends up at Malaloco, and from there gets wrapped up in the whole Trump, the whole Epstein thing. And, from there it's just, years of, according to her, being passed around from this person to that person. Now, as far as naming names, there's not a whole lot of naming names that is going on in the book. Ehud Barak, the former Israeli defense minister, was a big friend of Epstein. And so there is, she talks about the prime minister who was particularly brutal with her. And so, I wonder if the prime minister actually is Ehud Barak. Because he is particularly horrible to her and hurts her, particularly sadomasochistic. Speaking of sadomasochism, this is going to be all over the place, this one. Speaking of sadomasochism, there's a part where she talks about him getting interested in sadomasochism all of a sudden. So he's So now he wants people wear studded collars and all this stuff. And to me, it's like it's all this whole dominant, submissive, sadomasochistic stuff. It's all the same fucking bag, and I don't like any of it, frankly. I'm not sure I like any human sexuality or anything else humans do anymore, for that matter, because it's all just sort of what sick animals we're dealing with here. I mean, it's just it's kind of sad, really, because it seems like we have the intelligence to live better, to do things better, to not like exploit each other all the time like we do, and but can't seem to be able to get there. So it's it's a real tragedy of the human species. I don't know what I'm doing. Might be walking to the west side to take the subway home from there. I don't know. Walk through Central Park because I think of stuff to talk about with this book. But yeah, it's like, I don't know, reading stuff like this, like the last one about the French guy and who's drugging his wife and for entertainment of all these other dudes. It's like, it's that and Palestine and all these Sudan and all these things with it's like humans are just horrible. I mean, it's like, was it even worth getting born here? It's like, now I just want to get away from it, So that's I know it's kind of creepy thought, but that's what I'm stuck with. So, as far as the book is as a book, I thought it was really very well written. I guess that's Amy Wallace. I mean, it goes along pretty much chronologically, and it's the text is very clear and very well written, and it seems like it's not like Virginia talks about her reading as if reading and books were important to her. I don't think they were, but particularly. But so we sort of have to put it down to her ghostwriter. There's some questions about the truthfulness of all this stuff of her book. Actually, she does talk about the Dershowitz material. She'd said Dershowitz was one, and anyway, they sued one another, and ultimately he released some kind of a statement that was satisfactory to her, and claimed that, well, maybe she was confused. So that actually cast a pall over a lot of the ability to verify, when she's naming names. She also named Bill Richardson is in the book. He's named. Of course, he's dead. He died in 2023. He was governor of a congressman, and quite a Democrat. I think he's Democrat. Oh, quite a operative for years, and he was a governor of New Mexico, and he was a congressman for a while. Anyway, he died. So that's, and the whole Michael Wolff revelations recently. It's watching the interview with Sidney Blumenthal, Max Blumenthal's son or father, talking to Wolf today. It was quite interesting. They asked him, Wolf says that he talked about Trump with Epstein quite a bit. And Epstein just thought, at that point, this is right around the time that Trump is getting elected president. Epstein did not think he should be president. Epstein thought he was a scumbag and psychotic and willing to do anything and maybe just crazy. So that's So we have a testimony, secondhand, of course, and some emails. He says the same kind of thing. About the president, the current president, who shouldn't be president, but is anyway. But as from the main sexual predator of our time, claiming that this guy is worse than him, and just a horror show and a horrible criminal and a bad person. So there you go. I think I'm going to stop talking now. I took some more notes, but I'll have to look at those on my iPad. I think I'll finish this up in my apartment and leave it at that. So, look at these eagles bothering this ram. Never saw that one before. So here's the book, library copy. I don't buy books. I'm too poor and I don't have a place to put them. And I don't collect things. I don't believe in collecting things. November 2025 from the library. Library serves me nicely. I like the library. So let's see what notes I have here on this thing. Oh, this is an interesting note. Epstein and Maxwell referred to all their servants with English names, even though they were foreign. So if somebody's named Juan or Felipe or, whatever, they would just anglize their names instead of rolling their tongues around the unfamiliar names of, these foreign people. So it's very very class, British domination, sort of we don't have to call you by your real names. We'll call you John, Jim, or Joe, or whatever, so that's interesting. Oh, Virginia liked it when she heard Jeffrey say that she was a keeper after the first time that Ghislaine brought her to Jeffrey. And, she did what she was supposed to do. And so Jeffrey said, oh, she's a keeper. But, at that point, Virginia felt so bad about herself and so, beaten down already that, oh, someone likes me. Someone likes me. Call me a keeper. Someone likes me. So there's this twist in that, in that it felt good to be a keeper. Here's a part of it I'll just read. It has taken me a long time to understand that Epstein and Maxwell solidified their power over me by offering me a sort of a family. Epstein was the patriarch, Maxwell the matriarch, and these roles were not merely implied. Maxwell liked to call girls who regularly serviced Epstein her children. She and Epstein once took me to a boat show in Palm Beach and spent the afternoon introducing me as their daughter, just for kicks. As bizarre as that sounds, it felt kind of good to me. Less good, given my history, was that Epstein sometimes insisted I call him daddy during sex. So there's the daddy thing again that, I've just talked before about how daddy irritates me, this notion that all older men in sex are a daddy, or that want to be somebody's daddy, or that want a girl that calls them daddy. I have never been wanted to be called daddy by a male, female, or anyone else. Thank you very much. This is an interesting part here. It was around this time that, given the childish things that we just stated about how they're acting like she's their daughter. Okay. It was around this time that Epstein expanded his duties. He expected me to perform for him. Already, he was requiring me to dress him each morning. First, I'd apply lotion to his feet, then scrunch up his socks and roll them over his toes and heels like a parent would an infant. "You're going to be such a good mother someday," he'd say as I knelt before him, holding his pant leg open so he could step inside them. Now he began asking me to tuck him in his pink satin sheets each night. While tuck him in might sound like a euphemism for sex, it didn't always mean that to Epstein. Though my job during the day was to arouse and satisfy him sexually, at night he mostly wanted to be soothed and then left alone. He liked me to reach under the covers and massage his feet, maybe then his scalp. Only after he fell asleep was I permitted to pull the covers up to his chin and quietly exit his room. I am the only one I know of who was asked to do this for him, and at the time he told me that that signified that I was number one among the many girls and servants who attended to him. That designation gave me a proud feeling. Epstein intentionally fostered rivalries between girls who serviced him. So, to be held in his esteem seemed like a prize. Nevertheless, I found the tuck-it-in ritual, which could take more than an hour, increasingly tedious. Each night, I emerged exhausted. Oh, Epstein's trophy room in the house I visited yesterday. It wasn't, in Florida. It wasn't until I returned to Florida that I realized the bedtime rituals I'd been performing for Epstein had unlocked something in him. Suddenly he was confiding in me. One day, we were in the massage room in Palm Beach when he showed me a hidden doorway next to some paintings of naked people stretching. I had been in that room dozens of times, and by then had never noticed the door there. Opening it, Epstein revealed what can only be described as a trophy closet. On the walls, from the floor to ceiling, he tacked up hundreds of photos of young girls. All the girls were naked, many of them quite obviously underage, and the images were raunchy, not demure. A stack of shoe boxes in the corner held the overflow. He said he had so many photos he'd had run out of display space. I turned to him, speechless. He didn't speak either, but the smug look in his face said, "Look at my conquests. Look how powerful I am." And what a sad little boy. What trouble a sad little boy can bring to sad little girls, or less sad ones, or make them sad. He shows her pictures of her brother, and she feels like he's threatening her if she doesn't comply. Now, I knew of a woman who was held for 2 years in a sex slave kind of a thing by a Hindu guy, actually. And he was like a powerful, richer guy than the woman, and the young woman who was only like 19 at the start when this started. And he said, he could make accidents happen or something. So that was enough to keep her held for 2 years, scared of what he might do to his family, her family, or to her. And from a perspective of a male adult, it's hard to conceive of this, like, wouldn't you just leave anyway? But yet, when you're a naive kid, like 19 or whatever, and somebody's saying this to you, it's you don't know. You don't know, and it's, safer for everyone just to comply. This is about the Prime Minister. He wanted violence. He repeatedly choked me until I lost consciousness and took pleasure in seeing me in fear for my life. Horrifically, the Prime Minister laughed when he hurt me and got more aroused when I begged him to stop. I emerged from the cabana bleeding from my mouth, vagina, and anus. For days, it hurt to breathe and to swallow. Afterwards, I tearfully begged Epstein not to send me back to the Prime Minister. I got down on my knees and pleaded with him. I don't know if Epstein feared the man or if he owed him a favor, but he wouldn't make any promises, saying coldly of the Prime Minister's brutality. Well, you'll get that sometimes. There's stuff about her dad. My dad, however, was still my dad. There's a picture of him in Alex's baby book, holding a beer bottle up to my infant son's lips. You and Grandpa Sky sharing your first brewski together, reads the caption I wrote, making the best of it. Today, though, I see the inappropriateness of my dad's behavior as well as how triggering it was for me. Forcing an adult beverage on a baby, even in jest, isn't the same as forcing adult sexuality on a child, but it's rooted in a similar logic. Adults have the power to manipulate small children who don't yet have the capacity to make up their own choices. Sometimes it seemed as if my dad enjoyed doing things that were taboo, if only to watch others react in horror or chagrin as he pushed past boundaries. But I so wanted us to be a tight-knit family that I let it slide. Yes, she really has this thing about family. I think, I think when you have children, you want to give them the family thing so they take care of you later, I guess. So I think, so maybe that's why she was, giving the children the family thing by, reconnecting with her, rapist father, basically. So here's the Amazon purchase for 3 books about sadomasochism. SM 101, A Realistic Introduction. Slavecraft, Roadmaps for Erotic Servitude Principles, Skills and Tools and Training for Miss Abernathy, a workbook of ethic of erotic slaves and their owners, as well as numerous sex toys, including a purple vibrator that looked identical to the one the 14-year-old girl told police Epstein used on her. This is stuff that they're finding in the garbage of Epstein's house. More stuff about the dad. But my dad started crossing lines. I tended to avoid his touch, but he would come up to me in the kitchen while I was cooking and try to hold my hand, or would insist on dancing with me. Robbie was seething. I wouldn't do that with my daughter, he said, through gritted teeth when we were alone. I didn't defend my dad, but asked Robbie not to make a big deal out of it. Then, one night, my dad started showing us sexually explicit photographs on his phone. The people in the photos appeared to be adults, but the images were still disturbing. Seeing my father smirking and trying to get me to look, Robbie completely lost it. Why are you showing naked pictures to my wife? So, that's, well, I guess I'll read the rest of it. He demanded. And when my dad got huffy, Robbie went off. I know you're a fucking pedophile, and you need to get out of my house. Were it not for me standing in the middle, they would have hit each other. Robbie was screaming. My dad was screaming back, refusing to retreat. Finally, I took hold of my dad's arm and dragged him out the front door. Robbie, please calm down, I begged. I will get rid of him. Somehow my dad got in the car and drove to the lake, 10 miles from our house, where I knew there were cabins for rent. I booked a cabin for him and told him to stay there. I probably should have slammed the door behind me as I left for home, but didn't. Instead, I promised to visit him again before his flight back to the United States. So yeah, that's old Papa Sky. Now this is she's moving from. She went back and forth from with the family. Robbie and the 3 kids went back and forth from Florida to Australia a couple times. They lived mostly in Australia, but she wanted to reconnect with her family and had to do some stuff with the court case and so forth. So wanted to be in the United States. So they were in Florida for a while near her dad, and then decided to move to, when that all imploded, decided to move to Colorado. So here's, yeah, and she, just collects all these people and animals and all this stuff. So it didn't help that the minivan we were driving was full to bursting with both people and animals. In addition to Robbie, Alex, Tyler, E.L. Lai, and me, we also were transporting several Chinese fighting fish, 3 ferrets, a cat, 3 dogs, Bear, Champ, and Oldie, an utterly insane Jack Russell Terrier we adopted in Florida, a snake named Althea, and I don't even know how many hamsters. What I do know is the first night on the road, we found the cheap hotel to sleep in, and we left the fish and the hamsters in the minivan, and they froze overnight to death. So, complicating the life with a lot of stuff. Oh, here she talks about the Me Too movement, and it's I've heard this a lot in a lot of places, as if no one ever heard of sexual harassment in the workplace, or everybody just tolerated sexual harassment and all this bad behavior of men before the Me Too movement. Or before, like, the 80s, like back in the old days, stuff like that. So she talks about that a little bit, how things had changed with Harvey Weinstein and all that, and the Me Too movement, and maybe it did change in a certain sense for what she was trying to do, but it's like, what? How did I second wave feminism in like 1970 had a big effect on my attitudes. It sort of educated me to certain sorts of things, but I guess I was open to it where a lot of people weren't. I don't know. I'm sorry to say that for all that's happened, more action is needed, much more, because some people still think Epstein was an anomaly, an outlier, and those people are wrong. While the sheer number of victims Epstein preyed upon may put him in a class by himself, he was no outlier. The way he viewed women and girls as playthings to be used and discarded is not uncommon among certain powerful men who believe that they are above the law, and many of the men are still going about their daily lives, enjoying their benefits of their power. Well, as I said, as I started this part of this, is that, her story herself shows that it's not just the wealthy men that feel entitled in this way, or it's a whole. She's on the spectrum from the whole class, from the relative low life of her parents to the royal palace, right? So it's like that fact in itself belies what she's saying. It is as though Epstein wasn't an outlier, but they're all over in all classes of people, getting their victims where they find them, whether it's their daughter or someone else. So. Anyway, I guess I'll close it out here. Nobody's Girl, interesting book. Like and subscribe.